It is day 242 of our 2020 Focus Bible reading, and we are looking at the book of Revelation, chapter 2. This is what we read. It says, "To the angel of the church in Ephesus write, These are the words of him who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and walks among the 7 golden lampstands. I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people, that you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. You have persevered, and I have endured hardships for my name, and have not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. Consider how far you have fallen. Repent and do the things you did at first. If you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. But you have said this in your but you have this in your favor. You hate the practices of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the 7 churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to eat from the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. To the angel of the church in Smyrna, write, These are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. I know your afflictions and your poverty, yet you are rich. I know about the slander of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are synagogue of Satan. Do not be afraid of what you are about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful even to the point of death, and I will give you life as your victor's crown. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who is victorious will not be hurt at all by the second death. To the angel of the church in Pergamum, write, These are the words of him who has the sharp double-edged sword. I know where you live, where Satan has his throne, yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was put to death in your city where Satan lives. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you. There are some among you who hold to the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to entice the Israelites to sin so that they ate food sacrificed to idols and committed sexual immorality. Likewise, you also have those who hold to the teachings of the Nicolaitans. Repent, therefore, otherwise I will soon come to you and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. To the angel of the church of Thyatira, write, These are the words of the Son of God, whose eyes are like blazing fire and whose feet are like burnished bronze. I know your deeds, your love and faith, your service and perseverance, and that you are now doing more than you did at first. Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on a bed of suffering, and I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely, unless they repent of her ways. I will strike her children dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds. Now I say to the rest of you in Thyatira, to you who do not hold to her teaching and have not learned Satan's so-called deep secrets, I will not impose any other burden on you, except to hold on to what you have until I come. To the one who is victorious and does my will to the end, I will give authority over the nations. That one will rule them with an iron scepter and will dash them to pieces like pottery, just as I have received authority from my Father. I will also give that one the morning star. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches." All right. I've actually heard guys do sermons out of these different ones, and they pull quite a bit. There is stuff to pull out of this for sure. They tend to use a lot of symbolism. Essentially, these are images that are pulled from the first chapter as we look at the words of Jesus to the churches. I love the fact that these include praises as well as challenges or exhortation. That is the way that rulers would write in the ancient world. They would talk about, hey, this is what's good. Thank you for these things. this I have for you, but this is what I have against you. And that's what he does in verse 4. You have forsaken the love you had at first. You go back through back through the Gospel of John. You go back through his letters. We know that John was in and around the city of Ephesus. There's no question about that. And so you have what's his charge against him? I held this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. If there's one thing that John keeps reinforcing is God is love. Don't forget to love one another. That's important. Jesus says, "New command I give you: love one another, as I have loved you." So this is a call to say, man, you're forgetting this. Don't forget this. Go back to this. Consider how far you have fallen. Repent and do the things you did at first. All right, so that's a message. Honestly, I think that we can definitely apply to us. Don't know much about the Nicolaitans and what they were talking about. Could be the very people that he was talking against in the letters that he wrote to the churches, saying, hey, don't follow these people. They're promoting sexual immorality. They're promoting false teachings about who Jesus is. They didn't at least commit that sin, those problems, and so for that they're given credit. But then again, he says, whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Now we have to understand, we are reading other people's mail here, and we're supposed to read it. It's meant to be kind of, hey, this is kind of maybe the original idea for social media, right? This is getting put out there for everybody to see. Everybody can learn, but that was written to the church in Ephesus. He does the same thing for the church in Smyrna and Pergamum. I've actually gotten to visit these places. It's pretty cool to think back to these locations and Thyatira, just to know that these are real places that had real churches. And in Pergamum, it talks about that's where Satan lives. Well, that's because Pergamum was a center, a governmental center. The king of Pergamum, when he did not have an heir, he just signed over the kingdom to Rome. So this is a seat of power. I think it's interesting that he comes after them with a double-edged sword that's coming out of his mouth. But this is also where the death of Antipas, because of his testimony, because of his witness for Christ, that his death marks the beginning of something terrible for the church, that this is going to be a time of trouble and testing. And so, and it's going to come, this is satanic power. This is the work of the devil in the world, and they were kind of where that started. He says, that's where Satan has his throne, where Satan seems to have authority, but it's an earthly throne and it's not going to last. So an important thing to take away from this. But we'll continue to read through the other letters as we go into chapter 3. Have a good one.